I'm an ex-conservative who voted for Trump twice, and I want to talk about what's happening right now. A little bit of backstory. I grew up in the church, went to a Christian school my entire life, really came to faith and made it my own in about 2018 after some really crazy stuff happened in my life, and now I'm only alive because of Jesus. I grew up incredibly conservatively and kind of made it a big part of my personality until about 2020 when George Floyd was murdered. That's when I started to question things. We were in the beginning stages of the pandemic, and despite being in extremely conservative families, both my family of origin and the family I had married into, I was kind of starting to question things. My best friend at the time, same deal, same situation, very conservative. She and I kind of realized that we weren't exactly towing the party line without question anymore. It was one of those things where I kind of made a comment, or she kind of made a comment that kind of like signaled to the other one that something was different. And then from there, we realized we're not sure we believe all of this anymore. And then it was like, wait, you too? Oh my goodness, let's talk about it. Since then, I've been on a journey to distance myself from politics in general and focus just on my faith and who Jesus is and what he would do and what that means for us here on earth. And if I'm being super honest, I'm really nervous to make this video and the videos that are going to follow, because a lot of the people that I love and admire are still very much in that conservative arena. And that's fine. There are plenty of people that I know who are conservative and who voted for Trump, who are lovely human beings, who love Jesus, and who are genuinely trying to make Christ-like choices. I'm not even necessarily trying to change their minds. I just want to start asking some questions. Long story short, I enthusiastically voted for Trump the first time. I was like, yeah, own the libs, let's do this, MAGA, all that stuff. The second time around, I had my doubts, but I didn't really feel like I had a choice. And I'm not really going to talk about why. I just felt like my well-being kind of depended on me voting for Trump. But I was secretly kind of pleased when Biden won. This last time, I did not vote for Trump. So I have just been seeing a lot of things in the media that I have been verifying, because something I've always done is called people out when they're just sharing stuff that's unverified and perpetuating things that are like half true, and then it morphs and you're in this weird game of telephone. I'm not about that. I've always called that out no matter what my political views have been. And just for the record, I'm also not liberal. I'm not a liberal and I'm not a conservative. I just care about what Jesus would have to say about politics and what he did have to say and what he does have to say. So anything I see, I try to independently verify from multiple sources before I do anything, before I believe anything, and especially before I share anything, because that's just the responsible thing to do. Is it perfect? No. But that's what I try to do. So I've been seeing more and more things that I will talk about in future videos that are alarming as a Jesus follower, and the responses that I'm seeing to them from the conservative community and even conservative Christians is also concerning. So again, that's not to say all conservative Christians are in the wrong here, not by any stretch. I just really want to have a conversation about this, open a dialogue, and ask some questions in good faith. And again, I once very much was the person who thought that racism's dead. People who are complaining about racism and systemic oppression are just looking for a handout. They are just wanting to be a victim. I very much believed stuff like that. I would post things about illegal immigrants getting detained and deported and like, yeah, let's do it. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I used to post, and I wholeheartedly believed it. And I also had the attitude that I'm seeing a lot of, like, cheering for this stuff, mocking these people. I'm not proud of it at all, but I want to make it clear that that's where I came from. That's what I staunchly believed for most of my life. And what changed is when I started to try to understand what had been kind of baked into me by culture and various parts of my upbringing. Again, not like any certain people or my family or whatever necessarily, just what had been instilled in me and what had I come to believe, and did that differ, and if so, how, from what Jesus actually has to say and what scripture says and the nature of God and all of that. Another very important thing that changed is I actually started having conversations with people outside of my bubble. Conversations with people that I had been having these very strong beliefs about. My echo chamber to learn about the situation, I actually talked to Black people that I knew, and I sought out those that I didn't know, and I asked questions and I tried to learn. Something else that changed is that I traveled and I met people from other countries, and I was put in different situations and in different cultures, and I actually learned again about these people that I had previously had these strong opinions about. And I'm realizing as I'm editing this, I keep saying these people. I truly don't mean that in a derogatory sense. When I say these people, I mean the groups, these specific groups of people. And I'm trying to say that with respect, so please hear my heart on this. Anyway, so long story short, if you want to learn along with me, welcome. Follow me, because I am going to try to dig into some of this stuff from a biblical perspective. Here we go. Follow for more. Oh, and just really quick, because I know and understand the nature of the internet, I am all for having a discussion. I welcome comments challenging what I have to say, maybe correcting some things, adding scripture, adding perspective, whatever the case may be. I'm open to a conversation. But what I'm not open to, and what I'm blatantly going to ignore, is unkindness, nastiness, name calling, gotcha kind of debating. None of that is going to be welcome here. We're here for good faith discussion only. And I'm also not really looking for a debate, how debates typically go. I have a lot of anxiety. I even have a lot of social anxiety. I'm not going to debate you. I will have a good faith discussion where the purpose isn't dominating the other one because of semantics and tactics and winning the conversation, but instead really actually just lining up the facts and the arguments in a plain way where they can be compared and contrasted. So long story short, if you want to have a discussion, I'm open to it. If you're just going to jump in my comments and insult me or try to do the whole like, well, have you considered this? Have you considered this thing? No. Calm, loving discussion or no discussion at all. Your choice. But I'm going to assume you're here for the good faith stuff. So, all right, let's do this.